Marlene and Maurice are doing with us a 3-year program. Okay? They are in our MD program, which is the advanced program, and they did quite a lot of trainings with us. They are still in the first year, so they didn't do everything, but they did quite some trainings. And they came in the evaluation to Vered when they did a coaching, a coaching session with Vered, and Vered asked them about the results, and they said the biggest results they got was from the Financial Freedom course. That was a few weeks ago, I think. And Vered just asked them, please put it on paper so we can share your story, because the story is pretty inspiring.
Sinds het najaar van 2011 doen wij, Marlene en Maurice, mee aan trainingen bij Open Circles Academy. Via de Business Bootcamp rolden wij van het ene in de andere belevenis. Na de Financial Freedom Intensive 2011 hebben wij ons leven radicaal omgegooid. Tijdens deze seminar werden wij ons bewust van onze eigen belemmerende overtuigingen. Daarbij volgden een paar waardevolle inzichten. Nisande leverde voor ons nieuwe feitelijke informatie in begrijpelijke taal. Het werd tijd om oude dingen los te laten en om te gaan handelen vanuit de mindset die rijke mensen hanteren. De financiële resultaten zijn wij zeer tevreden over. Van een 140.000 hypotheekschuld gingen wij naar een vermogen van 100.000. Veilig opgeborgen buiten Nederland in de vorm van een fysiek edelmetaal, waardoor het inflatierisico beperkt is. Daarnaast heeft dit proces ook onze onderlinge relatie versterkt. In plaats van wekelijks de plaatsen horeca te bezoeken, hebben wij ons geluk thuis gevonden. Samen koken, eten en praten, waardoor onze eigen relatie en vriendschappen met anderen intiemer zijn geworden. Wij danken Nisande en Vered en het Open Circles team dat zij ons hebben geholpen om persoonlijk door te groeien en te ontwikkelen. Marlene en Maurice Sterks.
First of all, a disclaimer. Okay, I don't promise every one of you that have 140 minus or 140 hypothec debt or a mortgage that you can change it into the 100,000. What they did was pretty radical. That's not the point. The point is that they made the choice or made the decision to become financially free, and they did the actions that they chose to do. You can see even how they describe simplify your life. You know, like what they describe how to do that. They just say, well, we stop eating out and we decide to make it into something. Not just, oh, we're going to save some money on a restaurant. We're going to make it into a plus into our relationship, which we didn't focus on that at all, but they just took it and understood it in that level, and they made it into a plus. Not into, oh, I'm going to lower my lifestyle. They just say, no, I'm going to increase my lifestyle. Okay, in a way. So, and that's a good way to look at it. Now, for those of you that know Maurice and Marlene, they are very simple, normal people. Okay, they are coaches. Okay, in their area, they are not having any, they didn't have any information, so for them, of course, it was a big thing. And that's what happens most of the time. We call it consciousness vergence. You know, when you don't know something, and suddenly you get, your eyes are open because, this is what I can do. This is how I can protect my money like they described. This is how I can grow my money. This is how I can simplify my life, and this is the result that it gets, then the change is the highest. If I would give the same information to very sophisticated investors, then the change in their life will not be as big. But most of the people that we work with are what we call conscious virgins in those areas. You know, you don't know a lot about it. I didn't know a lot about it 10 years ago. It opened my eyes like crazy. I started doing that things in 15 months. I became financially free. The point is that you walk the path. Does that make sense? And that's important in what they mentioned. What changed for them is the mindset. So when you were talking is my belief is true. She believes that, that she shouldn't make a lot of money because that means taking from somebody else. I told her that's a belief, and she says, I don't know, I think it's true. And you need to change that. You need to make that transformation. And the financial freedom is a process, for those of you that have been there, this is a process where you go through quite an emotional process. It's not the easiest process. So in a way, this is a very strong personal development process because you let go of those beliefs that don't support you and gain some new one. Before we can put anything new, any new information, you need to let go of what does support you. For example, many people believe that rich people are bad in this way or another. Okay, they are greedy or they must have got the money. She just told me, if they are rich, they must have done something. Because I don't know how to become rich, then they're probably not a way. Then, then rich people did something bad in order to get there. Now, I'm sure that when you think about it, you say that's bullshit. But if that's in your operating system, that rich people are greedy or bad or whatever it is, then what's your chances to become rich? What are your chances? Now, luckily, I had no negative belief about rich people, none. Because in our neighborhood, in our environment, there were no rich people. My parents didn't know rich people. They didn't have any preconception. I never heard something bad about rich people. However, one day, I think we were already financially free at that time. Yeah, probably because of the year. And my daughter is 9 years old or something like that. And she comes home and she says, all rich people are greedy. All rich people are greedy. Now, we became white. I mean, we have wealthy people that she knew. They are still the most generous people we ever met. Usually, I said it to some people, usually money is just amplify who you are. If you're an asshole before, you're just going to become, an asshole with means, right? And if you were a caring and generous person before, then you just have means now to do something with that. So she only met rich people that were very, very beautiful and very caring. So we couldn't figure out how, she never heard anything bad about rich people, ever. Okay, so we couldn't figure it out. So we interrogated her for a while, and we found out where's the source. And the source was Dag Barduk. How many of you grew up on Dag Barduk? Apparently, for those of you that don't know, Dag Barduk is the uncle, the rich, greedy uncle of Donald Duck. And he's always portrayed as the one that sits on all the money. And she loved Donald Duck. We paid for that every week. Every week comes in the mail, Donald Duck, and we don't read Dutch. We didn't bother to read what is in the information there. How many of you are giving your kids Donald Duck? You just kill their financial future. I'm not joking, because we knew what to do, and it took us 2 years to change her mind. If you don't know what to do, then your kids are going to believe that rich people are greedy, and they will not remember in 20 years where it came from. But still in here, rich people are greedy. So those stuff we collected from a lot of places. We, in the training, in the financial freedom, we look at them, we find them out, we look where they came from, and we clean them up. It's possible, but it's hard work. Okay? It's intensive. It's a lot of work. It's 1.5 days out of the training is transformation. Only 1.5 days are information. So this is one thing. The next thing that we teach you is how to win the money game. Most of us don't have a clue what it means. We don't have the right goals, we don't have the right setting, so we can never win. So we teach you how to win the money game so you don't ever have to work again. We do hope that all of you will continue working or change your work to do something more contributing and more joyful for you, but you don't have to. There is a very big difference between working because you like to or because you have to. Would you agree? How many of you love what you're doing? Okay. How many of you realize that if you love what you're doing, but you have to do it in order to eat every month, then at one point it might become a burden? Anybody realize that? Okay, just know that this happens. Doesn't matter how much you like massaging. If you need to massage 6 people a day, 6 days a week, or 5 days a week in order to put food on the table, and you have to do it for 30 or 40 years, at one point you don't like massaging anymore. But if you do that because you just enjoy that, you don't have to. First of all, you can choose with who you work, how much you work, if you want to give 6 sessions a day or 3 sessions a day, if you want to work 5 days a week or 3 days a week. So you have a lot more choices, and then the feeling is not of a must. This is really, really important, so you need to learn that. You learn the most important tool to accelerate your speed to financial freedom, the main cause for almost all the financial problems that you have, and you need to know that, otherwise, we started it today, but you need to know it in depth, otherwise cannot change. So eliminating debts is important. We want you to cut your debts as fast as possible. When it comes to finances, debts has a system. We teach it to our students, and their speed of eliminating debts goes much faster. So the idea is to get you debts-free as fast as possible, and I cannot promise you how long it will take because it depends on your debts, but I can promise you an acceleration, a serious acceleration in that. Now, when you close your debts faster, it's not just that you become financially free faster, it's going to be cheaper, isn't it? Because you're paying interest. So if you can cut the number of years that you're paying debts, then you're probably going to pay, not probably, you're for sure going to pay less money, actual money. Is that good? Okay, so that's this. How many of you had debts? More than one debt. That's important because this system is for more than one debt. Okay, you have to learn that system. Okay, you have to learn that system. For those of you that have only one debt, I guess that's the mortgage. How many of you still have mortgage? How many of you still have 7 years or more on your mortgage? Okay, that needs to come down. So I don't want to go into numbers because it depends on how much mortgage you have. But you can count on cutting the amount of money you paid in mortgage with 20 to 30%. So if you're having still a mortgage of 100,000, probably you can save yourself 25,000. If you have 150, you can count on 40,000, about 40,000 to cut your, and you'll get all the numbers there. I don't want to get into that. So you can cut your mortgage in the amount of money that you're paying, but you can also cut it in years. If you have a mortgage of 30 years, you can cut it in 7 years. So you'll pay, instead of in 30 years, you'll pay in 23 years. That's a lot, okay? So I cannot promise you that you're going to get rid of your mortgage tomorrow in a year, but I can promise you that you can cut 5, 6, 7 years of your mortgage, and again, that's worth a lot of money. Most important, you're going to implement that, because it will require for you to negotiate with your bank. We'll teach you what to do, what to say, but you need to negotiate with them, and they're not going to be thrilled about that because they're just going to lose 30 or 40,000 euros over the, by the way, 30, 40,000 euros not in the first year, 30, 40,000 over the period of your mortgage. Okay, so nobody comes to me the day after the training and say, I called the bank, but I'm just seeing 100 euros, every month. No, over your mortgage, you're going to see 30, 40,000 less than you would have paid otherwise, and 5, 6, 7 years less of paying. So that's, I think, I don't have mortgage, but I would love to have that for myself if I would. They mentioned that, Maurice and Marlene, and that became, again, only last year, it was the first time that we were teaching it. That's wealth preservation, how to protect yourself. This year, we have a new session about that. It's more than protection your money. You need to protect your family and some other assets that you have. All of you have to do it, even if you don't have a lot of money. So even if you did the training last year, I suggest you do it this year again. We will give you that on cost. Okay, we will give it to you on cost so you don't have excuses of money. But if you've done it last year, first it's good to rehearse, repeat, and the second is that we have some new stuff that you have to know. We just add because the situation is getting worse. Okay, so that part will be new, the protection and preservation, there will be some new stuff there. How many of you think that some of those issues you should learn and master, with us or without it, but you need to learn and master those? Okay, so this is important. This is your year, guys. 2013 is coming up. It might be a tough year financially. For the economy in general, it can be your best year ever. It's your choice. The transformation starts now.